Hey everyone, my name is Chloe and welcome to the May In and Out. So this is where I tell you all the books I've hauled for the month and then all the ones I've unhauled, and we just kind of see how it stacks up. Yet again, this one is a little less than great for knocking down my TBR. But I am happy to say I did not spend a single penny this month. My sister, there's a tag video coming up with her where she talks more about it, but if you see the Zoom In with the Fam, she talks a lot about how she's just kind of in like a minimalist phase where less is more, and she's only keeping the books that she is like sure she'll reread, or authors that she like wants to own their whole backlist. But the majority of her books she is reading and unhauling, which means she has turned into the little book fairy. She leaves books at my door all the time, and so all of these books have come from her. So shout out to Alana. I'll link her Instagram down below because she doesn't have a booktube, but she does have an Instagram. And so I will link it down below. Go follow her. She is awesome. She reads so much and she's clearly so generous with her books. I'm so thankful. So I'm going to show you these books, and I'll tell you right now, there's 44 that I'm hauling and only 12 that I'm unhauling. So that looks really, really bad. But I read 29 books off my shelf this month. So stats-wise, I'm hauling 44. I took 29 off my shelf by reading it, and then I'm unhauling one that I did not read. So that means I'm getting 44, taking 30 off my TBR. So I'm really only getting 14 more on my TBR than I started the month with. So I hope that all makes sense. Let's just get into the books. I'm obviously not going to tell you a whole lot about the books that I'm hauling because there's 44. We would be here for days. But let's start with the unhaul stack first. Okay, the first set that I am unhauling is The Bride Quartet by Nora Roberts. So if you have seen some of my latest vlogs, I have read this whole quartet and I just did not like them. I slodged through them. They're in great condition. I know somebody else will enjoy them more than I am. So these four are going to go. Then I am unhauling Debbie Macomber's Denim and Diamonds, and this has a bonus story by Rayanne Thane. The reason I am unhauling this book is because it has just the story of Denim and Diamonds and then a Coldwater Creek book by Rayanne Thane. And I have a different book by Debbie Macomber that has Denim and Diamonds and another Debbie Macomber's book in the same thing. And so I don't need this. And then the Coldwater Creek is like really late in the series. So I just don't think I'm going to read this. I don't need 2 copies. So I'm going to let this one go. Next is Blue Like Jazz, and this is by Donald Miller. I read this one recently and just couldn't get into it. I did not like it. It's a guy's random musings about Christianity and his exploration of his faith, and I just didn't like it. So this one too, I know some people really like, so hopefully it'll go to a good home. Then I've got Olive Kittredge, which is another book I have read recently and didn't care for. This is by Elizabeth Strout. This was an Oprah's book club. I had high hopes for it, but it's almost like short stories, somewhat peripherally revolving around this character, Olive Kittredge, and I just didn't like it. Short stories are not for me. I know somebody will enjoy this one too. Next, this is the one I have not read, and it is Danielle Steele's Leap of Faith. Danielle Steele is one of those authors that I sort of got into when I very first started reading adult romance, and I liked her, but this one just doesn't have a very intriguing plot to me, and I think I've just, like, my tastes have changed, and I don't think Danielle Steele is going to be one of my favorite authors, and so I'm going to let this one go. Next is Flirting with Pete by Barbara Delinsky. This one I just recently read and just didn't care for it. And Barbara Delinsky is very hit and miss with me. This is one that was like 2.5 stars, I think, maybe is what I rated it somewhere about there. And I didn't care for it. Next is Sleepless in Manhattan by Sarah Morgan. Now this one I love, but my sister gave me a different copy, and this one's kind of beat up, so I'm going to put this in a little free library and share the Sarah Morgan love with somebody else. And then finally, Fern Michael's Perfect Match. I read this, I think, in April, and I kept it for a little bit, but then upon thinking about it, I don't know why I kept it, because it's about kind of 2 different storylines. One is a guy who, he was a former NFL player. He gets injured. He's down on his luck. Just boo-hoo for me. And his sister has a matchmaking company. And so his sister decides to leave town, go to Nashville, and leave her assistant to run the matchmaking company with her brother. And her brother has never done this. She's trying to get him out of his funk. And so him and the assistant butt heads, but then they have a romance. And that's the first half of the book. The second half of the book is following the sister who goes to Nashville with her husband to try to start a music career and blah, 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 blah. The two stories like barely connect. I wasn't really interested in either. So that's it. So those are the ones I'm unhauling. Now let's start the haul. We have got the Angels trilogy by Lurleen McDaniel, and I have read some Lurleen McDaniel lately. She is a YA author that typically does some pretty hard-hitting YA, and this is a trilogy of angels watching over me, lifted up by angels, and until angels close my eyes. I don't know if all three are related or not, but I think they'll be great. The font inside is almost like middle grade. Like, it reads very, very, very fast. So I am excited to tuck into these and check out some more Lurleen McDaniel. Then we've got Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. And this one I'm really excited. I will be reading this for an upcoming readathon, for the Book Buddy-a-thon actually. So I will be reading this in June, and I'm very excited. Next is If You Could Go Anywhere by Paige Toon. I don't think I have read a Paige Toon, but she is one of those authors that I am very intrigued to try, and I've heard so many good things. I love her covers. I think she just is one of the quintessential kind of chick lit authors, and I'm so excited to give her a shot. Next is The House That Love Built by Beth Wiseman. So this one is a small town romance. She gets divorced. I think maybe goes back home. I don't really know, and then has a kind of second chance at love, and I'm really excited to read this one. I'm going to probably say that about all of them because I am really excited. This stack has been coming slowly but surely over the month, and I've been trying not to read any of them until I get this filmed, and so I am like very eager to read them. This one is 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, and I have heard so many people talk about this and say they love it, and my sister did not like it, and her and I typically have very similar tastes, so I am so excited to give this one a shot and see what I think. Next is The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. Again, I have heard a lot of mixed reviews on this, but you'll see there's quite a few Christina Laurens in here, and I'm so excited because I have only read Love in Other Words, and I loved that book. And Christina Lauren is just such a popular writing duet right now that I really want to get more into their backlist, so this one will help with that. Then I have the duology of Forgetting August and Remembering Everly by J.L. Berg. I'm actually going to be reading Forgetting August, which is the first one, for the HEA-a-thon starting June 1st, and then Remembering Everly for the Book Buddy-a-thon. So both of these will be read in June. Then I have You by Carolyn Kepnes. This one I have wanted to read for so long and just have been putting it off, and so I am going to be reading this one too this month. I will link all of my TBRs for the HEA-a-thon and the Book Buddy-a-thon down below so you can see exactly when I'm reading these, but this one I'm so excited to read. And maybe watch the show. I don't know. I always have high hopes that I'm going to watch the show, and then I never do. So that one, if it's good, maybe I'll give it a go. Then I have Monsters, A Love Story by Liz Kay. This one I am really intrigued. It's a lot different than what I normally read, I think. It's about a girl who writes a book that is kind of a spinoff somehow of Frankenstein, and then somebody wants to make a movie about it. And so it's that story, I guess. I don't know. I've heard it's very fast-paced. My sister liked it, and so I'm going to give it a shot. Then we have another Christina Lauren, Twice in a Blue Moon. Again, cannot wait. I love second chance romances. I know I've heard a lot of less than great things about this, but I love second chance romances enough that maybe I'll be in the minority and really like it. Then Carolina Breeze by Denise Hunter. This one is a brand new release, and my sister, Denise Hunter, is one of those that she will always keep on her shelves, and she pre-orders and just loves her, and for some reason they sent her 2 copies of this, and so she gave it to me. It's a Bluebell Inn romance. I'm not sure what number in the series. I think maybe number 2, but I don't know for sure. And so I'm going to add this to my stack of Denise Hunter that I will someday get to ASAP, actually, because I've heard nothing but good things about her. We've got Jennifer Probst, The Start of Something Good. Again, Jennifer Probst is another author that I have heard so much about and never picked up. I think this one is about a former military, maybe, that goes home and then meets a girl, and I don't really know. I am trying to go into my books pretty blind lately just because the synopsis sometimes tell so much that I get these expectations in my head and then they get ruined. So this one, I just know I want to try this author, and it's got one of those like soft, buttery covers that I just love. I was reading one of these, not this book, but another one that's got this like velvety, buttery cover. And I told my daughter, I said, feel this. Doesn't that feel nice? And she like started rubbing her face on it like she was a cat. And I thought, gosh, that's exactly how I feel too. That's awesome. Then we have All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. Megan Miranda is yet another author that I really want to try that I have not. And so this one I hope to read really soon. This is a thriller, so I really don't know anything about it, but I have heard nothing but good things about Megan Miranda. This one I've heard mixed reviews actually, I think, but I'm excited to read it. Then Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This one might be a little departure for me because I know it's kind of sci-fi, but I have avoided any spoilers for this. I've heard a lot of hype, but now it's far enough removed that I don't think the hype is going to ruin it for me. So I'm excited to see what it's all about. My lighting is getting weird because I've got this stack of books growing next to me, so try to take that down a little bit. American Dirt by Janine Cummins. This one I have heard is very political, very, very good. Coming up on election season, it might be a weird time to read this, but I am so excited to hear or to read what all the hype's about. Then As Bright as Heaven by Susan Meisner. Susan Meisner. This one, I think we are starting to be out of quarantine enough that I would be comfortable reading about this. I also think the Spanish flu was a lot different than what we have gone through, and I think I would be the type that would be okay to read this right now, even in the midst of it all, but I am very intrigued, and the Spanish flu is something I don't know a whole lot about, and so I can't wait to read this one. Okay, the floor stack is done, so now let's get on to the TBR cart. We have got The Other Woman by Sandy Jones. This is, I think, a thriller about a new wife and the mother-in-law, maybe. I don't know for sure, but I am so excited to read this. I was just watching, though, Gabby Reads. She did a thriller recommendations live show with a bunch of different booktubers, and some of them said this is their least favorite thriller ever, and so I'm a little nervous, but I think I might like it. Then we've got, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but my stack is crumbling. At First Sight by Nicholas Sparks. This is another one that I'm going to be reading for the AGA-a-thon. It's about a guy who lives in the city, whatever. He says he's never going to leave the city, never going to have kids, la-di-da-di-da. And then he ends up getting divorced and leaves the city and talks about remarriage and kids and all that kind of stuff, just kind of does a 180. And so I am excited to read this. This is going to fill my small town romance prompt. Nicholas Sparks is somebody that I am very hit and miss with. I'm generally not a huge fan, so we'll see what I think of it. Next, we have 4 different Sarah Morgans, and I think these all fit into the From Manhattan with Love series, but I'm not positive. We've got Holiday in the Hamptons, Sleigh Bells in the Snow, and I think this one might just be a Christmas one. I don't think it fits into the series, but I need to check. Miracle on Fifth Avenue, and Sunset in Central Park. And I think I have read, actually I don't think I've read any of these. Maybe I've read Sleepless in Manhattan, but I know I haven't read any of the others. And so now that I've got them, I'm going to need to binge, because I think I've got the first 4 or 5 now, and so I need to binge. Next, I have this quartet by Ronnie Warren. I'll just hold the first one because it's The One Who Got Away. This one I think is about, there's a school shooting and these people are survivors, and so then they come back together maybe, and it's a romance. I think that's what it's about. Again, I'm trying not to know a whole lot. This is a quartet that I've heard a whole bunch about from my sister, from a whole bunch of different romance readers, and I cannot wait to get into them. Next, I have When You Disappeared by John Mars. I loved The One by John Mars. That's the only one I have read. I really want to read his newest one, but this one is one of his backlist, and I'm so excited to read this. This one does not have the short chapters that he typically does, but it's almost set in like diary entries maybe. There's times and days and stuff, so I still think this is going to be very, very quick. Next, I have The Sister by Louise Jensen. This is a thriller. Again, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I'm very intrigued. Then I have Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. This is one that used to be super popular, and again, now I think the hype has died down enough that I would be comfortable reading this. I think it's kind of wintry, so I might save this one for the winter. Then Still Mine by Amy Stewart. This is on an upcoming TBR, so I will be reading this one soon. This is about a girl who goes to this small town. I think she's running away. She goes to this small town to investigate this murder. She's somehow connected, or missing girl. I don't think it's a murder. She's somehow connected to the missing girl, and she's also on the run, so we don't really know what's going on. It's in a mining town, and so I am excited to read this one soon. The Shadow Wife by Diane Chamberlain. I love Diane Chamberlain. I love stories about pregnancy. This one is about a girl who has an aneurysm during birth, which kind of freaks me out, seeing as I'm hopefully days or hours or something away from giving birth. So this one I might wait and read, but sounds very good, very hard-hitting. Love Diane Chamberlain. No Ordinary Life by Suzanne Redfern. This is a story of a young mother's fight to protect her children from the dangerous world of Hollywood. So I don't know what this is about. Maybe some child stars. I don't know. The Museum of You. I think this is a YA. This is by Kara Spray. I think this might be a YA. I've also heard it shelved as middle grade, but I'm not really sure. This one I think is about a little girl, or a teenage girl maybe, whose mom has died and now she's living with her dad, and she's kind of walking on eggshells, and so she is finding out more about her mom, I believe. Then Sisters by Kelly Coates Gilbert. This one I think is just a women's fiction about three sisters. It was for free on Kindle, not Kindle Unlimited, but it was a free book on Kindle, and so I bought it on Kindle too. This cover is just kind of cheesy but kind of intriguing, and so if you're interested, go check and see. It may still be free on Kindle. What Was Mine by Helen Klein Ross. This one I think is about a woman who kidnaps a baby and then raises her as her own, and then I'm guessing things all come out that she actually kidnapped the baby, but I'm not really sure. I love thrillers. I love thrillers dealing with kids, and so I'm really excited to see what this one's all about. Next is Dear Thing by Julie Cohen, and this one I think is about a girl who decides to be a surrogate for her friends who can't, they're struggling with fertility, can't get pregnant or can't stay pregnant or something, and so she decides to be their surrogate, and then she gets attached to the baby, and so it's that story. I'm really, really, really intrigued to read this. Next is One Last Time by Corinne Michaels. I think this might be a little steamy for my taste, but I don't know. I think this one is about a girl who gets divorced and then kind of starts over and starts celebrity blogging maybe, and then meets a guy and it's their relationship. I'm not too sure about this. I'm excited to give it a shot. My sister liked it, and so it couldn't hurt to try. These are the Palm South University, the first three by Candy Steiner. I think this is just a story of a bunch of Greek college kids, and lots of drama, lots of relationships. I've heard great things. Can't wait to try it. Again, it might be a little steamy for me, but we'll see. Then the last three are all going on my Christmas shelf, so they won't be read anytime soon, but come November, December, you bet these are going to be picked up. We've got Mistletoe on Main Street by Olivia Miles. This is one I heard about last year and really wanted to read but didn't get to, so I will be reading that this year. All I Want for Christmas by Jenny Hale. Another one I think I heard about last year and didn't get to. And then The Mistletoe Secret by Richard Paul Evans. He is one of my favorite writers, and especially for these little Christmas stories. They're short, they're tiny. I am very excited to read this. I hope I can wait till November. So like I said, 44 in, 12 out, doesn't look great, but I also read 29 off my shelf, so I'm just going to focus this month on continuing to read off my shelves. My sister is almost out of books, and so I don't think she's going to be, I don't think next month's going to be a massive haul like this, and I've got so much that I'm so excited for. I really, she has quenched my book buying urge without me actually buying any, so I'm so grateful to her. Again, huge shout out. I stay tuned for a video from her. I think it's coming this Tuesday, a tag with her, so stay tuned, check that out. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have read any of these books that I've hauled, if I should move some up in the priority. Again, I'll link my TBRs for the 2 readathons so you can see what I'm going to be reading soon, and then if you want to buddy read any of the other ones, let me know, and we'll talk to you later. Bye! I was just putting all my books away and I realized one fell off the back of the cart. This is one I am unhauling, The Wyoming Kid by Debbie McComber. Again, this is one that I have in another sort of bind up, and so I don't need 2 copies of the same story. This is just a tiny single one, and I have it in a bind up that has 2. So this is another unhaul.